I ain't stopping for nothing. When the baseline is dropping, this beat comes keep on humming. They're doing something, I love it. Something, I love it. I love it. Something, I love it. This beat comes keep on humming. They're doing something, I love it. I ain't stopping for nothing. Stopping for nothing. Nothing. When the baseline is dropping, is dropping, is dropping, is dropping, dropping. Baseline is dropping, is dropping, is dropping, is dropping. Stopping for nothing. Stopping for nothing. This beat comes keep on humming. They're doing something, I love it. Oh my endorphins are locking up in there, shocking my noggin. The beat is rocking, come knocking. The door is open, so hop in. I ain't stopping for nothing. When the baseline is dropping, dropping.
Whoopsies. Hello.
Hello.
It would be nice if I transitioned before I unplug. Oh, here we go. Hi, Yoda. Welcome to the podcast. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
That's good. I'm doing well. I tried to take a nap, but then got nervous and I was like, I didn't sleep.
It's okay. That happens.
I tried and then my eyes went like, oh, so now I'm like in between, like I should be asleep, but I'm not because, anyways.
It's a big mood, you know. You get too excited and nervous at the same time. You're just like, I want to sleep, but my eyeballs tell me no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's start off with your introduction. Who are you? What do you do?
I am Katsu or Katsuma. I am a demon fox YouTuber. I basically do anything and everything. I'm a little gremlin.
Can
I see
confirm.
people's kneecaps.
Can confirm that as well.
Yeah. My content is basically anything scary or horror-based content to some community nights where we play fun different games like Jackbox, Minecraft, we have Repo, and other multiplayer games.
Repo's been very popular on the docket lately.
It is. I'm like, yeah, it's super fun, especially with friends.
So,
What about you?
well, my name is HoloLink. 102 if it matters, because yeah, somebody already I took HoloLink and I lost the account password and all that and recovery stuff because that email's gone. But I'm HoloLink. I'm a variety streamer with ADHD, so I'm all over the place. I could be talking about kittens. Next thing you know, I'm talking about the apocalypse and nomming on somebody's brain. But I also, tend to range between Monster Hunter, Repo. Occasionally, it'll be multiplayer games that I'm playing with friends because I find I have the most fun and I can yap the most there. Whereas single player, I sometimes get locked in and then I forget. But that brings us to our topic today, streaming. So, when did you start your streaming career?
I started it back in either 2019 or 2020, and I was like, you know what? Why not? Since I've always like not streamed, but more like I played games in my room by myself, talking to myself all the time, and then I would always see like Vanoss Gaming and all of them play their games on YouTube, and I'm like, you know what? I want to do something like that. I want to have like a little group of friends that would, play different games together and have like that small knit family kind of deal, and we could just, chill and relax, goof off, play games together, and you know, do that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's going.
So you would say Vanoss was like a major influence. What got you into VTubing instead of being a flesh tuber?
I started off as a flesh tuber, and then when I was scrolling through YouTube, and when I seen Iron Mouse on YouTube, I was like, "Who is this girl? She has pretty hair and like cute avatar. Who is she?" And I clicked on the page and I was like, Iron Mouse, who's this? Oh my god, she's pretty and she's a VTuber and she looks anime and I love anime. Let's go. And then I, got into the concept of, okay, there's many different types of VTubing, like 2D, 3D, PNG tuber, and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, you know what? I want to do something like that. So then I started looking for artists that would kick it off. And I sure did. I started actually off with a 3D model, which then later on turned into a 2D model. And then I kept like changing my design from a bunny like VTuber to now a demon fox VTuber.
So what made you pick a fox?
I think foxes are really cute and adorable, and they like to squeak and cause chaos, and very sneaky. And I'm very sneaky sometimes.
Yes. Can confirm as well. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering because the fact is, if I remember correctly, your favorite animal is a wolf. So why not be a wolf VTuber?
Wolves are my favorite, but I think I preferred more fox based VTubers based on, because I don't like to, go a woo all the time and stuff like that. Occasionally I bark here and there, yes, but um it's just a different concept, and I was like, ooh, fox, why not try that one instead of go with a wolf?
Mm,
So I was like, you know what, let's go from that idea, and if it changes, it changes. If not,
yeah.
it's okay.
I mean,
Because
that's
that's the whole thing about being a VTuber. You can always change at any point of time. You don't have to stick to one single character. It does, of course, cost you money if you're not an artist, but, things like that happen, which is okay.
so. I guess I'll answer that question too. Is that I would say what got me started was watching my little brother stream and thinking I want to do that because I was originally playing video games and just being silly. But then I watched my little brother do it, and then I was watching Vine Sauce, and I was like, oh, he's got a personality. I could do something like that. I wouldn't exactly emulate it, but I want to stream and show off the people like my horrible gaming skills, and then just make friends. That's always been the goal, is to make friends. But like the reason why I picked a Neko, a flame elemental Neko, is because even in middle school, when I was writing a story about my character, he was a Neko. This is before VTubing was even a thing. This I'm dating myself, so but with that, I always had an idea. I want to be like a flame Neko because I like fire. And then I
Mhm.
just incorporated the nerdiness, as you can see with like the T-shirts that I want to have on my character. I have a right now. I have a D20 dice on my thing with dragon wings. Then I have the Zelda wristband, which I'm a huge fan of Zelda. aka why my thing is Link at the end. It's between and a combination of an anime Bleach, the Hollows, and then Link from Zelda. And then
Ooh.
originally it was a shapeshifter. I thought about a shapeshifter because this is cringe, but I used to roleplay on Yahoo Messenger, and my character used to be a shapeshifter. So that was that thing. But um, I've always liked the ability to, reach a faraway audience and make friends elsewhere where I wouldn't normally. If I can't afford to travel, I could just basically kind of travel by meeting new people from other places and then learning their stories. I've always been interested in people's stories. I also like the Yap, as you could tell.
Yeah, everyone has different stories and everyone lives in different places too. Or you can meet like someone that's literally near where you live and you're like, "Oh, I didn't know that. That's so cool." And then you can probably later down the line have one of those VTuber meetups or,
Hmm.
you know, that'd be awesome.
But
Meet, online friends and stuff.
funny enough, the VTubing group that I joined with my little brother, well, he got me in there and they got me the affiliate. Most of it, well, I would say about half of the V2 what's it called? Delta V community lives here in Florida
Mhm.
with me. I'm not telling the exact location, but uh, I've met two of my stream friends in real life so far, and it was really cool because we went to go see Sonic, and we were bonding over like shitty B movies.
Oh no.
But he it's Mousy 87, the guy that got overwhelmed when we were playing
Oh,
Repo for the first time.
okay. Yeah.
It was
That's
hilarious.
pretty fun though.
Hmm. He's not used to being around like that many people or in a VC with that many people. It was just too much for him.
Well, that's very valid and okay. Like, not many people like to have like one of those huge groups to be in.
Mhm.
That's why they kind of stick to like maybe a smaller group anywhere between one one to six, depending on the game exactly. And then like if it's something else that they need to like, hey, it's a survival based game, they can do a little bit more people if they want to. Um, some people can't really handle like crowds and that many people over talking each other and just making it a lot worse than it is because then you can't hear others and what they're saying and what's going on
I.e.,
because
when
then
we play
you get overstimmed so badly.
i.e. when we played what was that game with the spaceman? Uh, I've already forgotten it because we haven't played it in so long. Um, Lockdown Protocol. I remember
Yeah.
a couple times you've told me you were overstimulated. That's why you were in the corner just doing you things.
Yeah, like I said, big like collapse I can't, especially when it's a small area in space, which is okay, very valid.
Yeah,
Doing
yeah,
my own thing while we all chill together and kill each other on teams.
yeah, yeah. Sacrifice, sacrifice. I.e.,
All the
you and
sacrifices.
Muffin.
I mean, true. You do the same thing.
Listen, Linda.
Yeah. Linda. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, any tips you would give anybody for like starting out streaming?
Alright, if you're starting off streaming, I recommend you starting off like, don't go straight forward to dropping down like tons of thousands of dollars on a VTuber model right away, unless you absolutely want to stick with that model for at least 2 to 3 years or more. If you're gonna drop that money right away and then like maybe like a year later, maybe less than that, you're like, I don't want this model anymore, then you kind of wasted the money. So usually just start with like, hey, start with a simple drawing, then you could turn into a PNG tuber. Or if you're an artist and you do it yourself, that's, go for it. But other than that, like, start off with something simple and small and then work your way up. And as for other stuff, please, 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 please take care of yourself. Make sure you hydrate and make sure you are eating properly, and it's way more important. Don't stress yourself out about numbers or like not having like many friends to hang out with, because I remember when I used to do that, I got so bad at taking care of myself like that, and I'm just like, oh great, and I kind of like stopped that because eventually people will notice and they'll be like, hey, pulling you off to the side and have like a really long talk about everything. What else? Let's see.
Yeah, to
Um,
expand on that a little further, it's like you want to take care of yourself as much as you'd like to grind out and get those numbers and stuff. You should definitely take care of yourself, because as soon as you break down, then you start losing that momentum. So you want to be able to take care of yourself so that way you keep that momentum. Don't be like certain people, i.e., me, who screamed 12 hours on months on end and then burnt out, and then now kind of have a meh schedule because I'm just like streaming kind of lost its steam for me, but I'm trying to get back into it.
that's why everyone that's why I recommend like taking breaks. It is okay, even if you are partner, to take breaks. You need that time to reevaluate like all the stuff you've already done and whatnot, to kind of like just settle that in and be like, hey, all right, what do I need to work on? What do I need to do? And it's okay if your stream has scuff. That's what streaming is for. It doesn't need to be perfect all the time. Things happen. Just do not stress about it. It's gonna, get the best of you. Um,
Yeah.
do you have any other
Uh, you were gonna
I can think
say
of?
something before I interrupted you.
You're good, you're good. I'm trying to think
you
what else.
so with streaming, it's like people think they can make a career out of it, which it's a rare outline of people who make a career out of it aren't normal. That's the thing. Like people have to realize is with streaming is if you do it as a job, you're gonna be more stressed than if you were to do it for fun. That's what you want to look
Yeah.
at is doing it as a hobby as opposed to you don't have to drop thousands of dollars. You could like Katsu said, get cheap artwork, make it a PNG and work from there. Build your audience, build that fan base, play games, be entertaining cuz it's nice to look at something, but if your personality is absolute garbage, I'm going to change. It's instead of eating with your eyes, you want to be entertained. You want to watch somebody. So why there's like millions of other DBD players? What makes you different? Oh, because you're a gremlin and you bite people's ankles, or you shove candlesticks up their butt.
True, true. This is why well, not everyone. Some people do, some people don't. But it is always okay to be a gremlin and be lewd the lewd tuber or like somewhat lewd. As long as it's within TOS, you're fine. But there's other people that like to break the boundaries and edge, which
Typical.
okay, it happens. But yeah, it's just be yourself. Eventually, everyone that would see that side of you and be like, "Oh, I like this person. I like their content. I want to go there and like see more content. I want to like get more vibes and like, get to know this person and, you know, hang out with them probably and play games with them and
Yeah, be a part of the community. Do you want to grow as a person with them because you see that they're entertaining? Do you want to interact with them or their community because you can see their community is kind of a gremlin like them?
exactly. Also, there's also other ways to grow, not just on Twitch. You can also grow on YouTube, on TikTok, on Kick and stuff. Just push your content out on other platforms. That way, you have like a platform that you can grow on, like other ones, that it's just not one single thing. Because Twitch, you can grow from Twitch, yeah, sure. But you're not going to reach a bigger audience just from that alone. Like, some people might have a bigger audience on Twitch and you check their Twitter and it literally is maybe 300 followers or so forth. And you're like, oh, okay. Some people grow faster and on different platforms more than others, which is okay. You just gotta build your audience starting off wherever you want and then continue growing as you go.
Yeah, nobody's gonna do the legwork for you. You're gonna have to be the one to do the work to get yourself where you need to be. You're gonna have to be your own manager. You're gonna have to, if you're good at art, then you'll be your own artist. So you'll just like take on these different hats when you start streaming and you decide that it's gonna be for you. That this is gonna be the trip you want to take. Don't quit your 9 to 5 until you know for sure. Even then, I would still have it as a have part time, just in case stuff happens. You gotta take care of yourself and your money. It's you first, and then your audience, and then they'll come knowing it's like, hey, this guy takes care of himself, or chick takes care of themselves. Instead of you always being mopey on stream or low energy because things aren't going, and then you get overly stressed. What you need to do is just focus on yourself, just do what you need, because streaming is an expensive thing. Well, not anymore. It's become more cost of, you can cost friendly. You can buy a camera, a $20 camera, and then there's free programs you can use to convert your PNG into like a thing that is expressive. You can do a bunch of things. There are a bunch of programs out there now, as opposed to when VTubing started and it was difficult to get into it. You had to like have the money. You had already have to invest. Same with streaming. You had to invest. Now you got free to play games that you can just get off of Steam and then start streaming because OBS is free.
Exactly. You don't also have to have like the high end, computer or whatever to stream. If you have a console, you can stream for console. If you have a laptop, depends on the laptop. You can definitely stream off a laptop too. But yeah, you don't have to have the high end consoles and everything to be like, oh, I can automatically drop 10K or more.
Oh, that's that. I fixed it. I think. Katsu, can you give me an audio check, please?
Checking, checking. 1, 2, 3. Checking, checking.
Is that better? Highlight error. Thumbs up, thumbs down. There we go. Okay, yeah.
But yes, you don't need the high end the high end like consoles and stuff. If you want to play like the high end graphics on like Monster Hunter Wilds, you need a grand old PC to do it,
And you need a stable internet. That's another thing. Is invest. Basically, you're investing in your hobby, like any other hobby. Is you spend money to make money. You don't always make money because before this whole everybody's gets a payout thing, it used to be you had to make affiliate, you had to meet certain marks, and then partner, and then not to deter anybody, but it's like you're not going to be a Kai Signet overnight. You're not going to be a I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's the guy that carves wood that got really big because he gave the guy his money back because he's like, I do this for fun. I don't expect any money. And now he's like got a big old Twitch channel. They all like sent him a computer. But those are like outliners that you can't like quote that and say, "Hey, this person did this." It's like, yeah, so they did that, but it's not going to be the same for you. Results may vary. It's like any other thing.
Exactly. It's a very expensive hobby, if you think about it. Like it can be. It can be depending on what you get into and what you want to do. You can start off with like free and then work your way up if that's the case. You're more than welcome to. Um, but yeah, it's a really expensive hobby whether you think about it and stuff.
Yeah, and with
Crazy.
so my next question is gonna be: you sent me pictures of Silvervale and Spite. What about them inspires you?
So Silverville, I love her model. I absolutely love her gremlin and chaoticness, and she does have a soft side and comfy vibes in her chat every time when I see her. And I love her model and the way she also gives back to her community is another one. Same thing for Spite. Spite went through so much which she did not deserve, and she grew from that not mistake, but she grew from it.
Hmm.
And she kind of grew up to be as big as she is now.
Yeah, it's always good
And
to see people grow from adversity. Like when the shit hits the fan, and then the actual people's real sides come out, and then you see it's like, oh well, they do well under pressure. Granted, she probably behind the scenes was like shitting bricks and was just very upset and sad, but like that's just unfortunately, I hate to say it, I've been harping on the negative side, but it's due to be mentioned that with VTubing, somewhat, it's like a high school all over again. Is like you get in these group of people and they start talking and it's all about drama. Who's doing this? Who's doing that? Instead of it's money on business or trying to be friends, people are just trying to climb each other. I'm not gonna say names, Cinder, but
but yeah, there's people out there that do that, and you just gotta be cautious and look out for them. And there's other people that actually want to, help you grow as a individual. And yeah.
um, well, outside of that, where do you want to see yourself? Like in a fantastic vision and a realistic vision.
Realistically, realistically, I believe I want to give back to my community, friends, and my family for supporting me through everything. And eventually, I want to hit partner and continue to grow from there and make a beautiful, beautiful community and continue to do that. A community that gives back and also chills out in DC and games together and, gets along together. I think it'd be a beautiful thing.
Mhm.
But sometimes there's usually drama, which happens, but you gotta take care of that stuff. What about you?
Well, on the realistic, I'd like to see myself as partner, but knowing like how flaky I've been. If I were to dedicate myself like I should be, I would like to see myself partner, so that way I can lift up my other streaming friends and then get them partner, and just see everybody succeed. Because I want if you were with me for the long haul, I'm gonna bring you with me. And even some people who are just now meeting me, I wouldn't want to leave them out. I would definitely attempt to mentor them or help them. Whereas like I've got this circle of people I've already got planned I want to take with me when I go to the top, and then I just fantastically, in a fantasy world, I'd want to be like up there collabing with V Shoujo or something, or Phase, and then just not like Phase the COD people, but Phase Connect, like my dream Gremlin collab would be Peppa, because I love her just straight up just degenerate gremlin energy. Same with Chibidoki. I would love,
Doki's so funny. She's
and then that's on the fantastical side. That it's like if I could somehow get that to that point, I could say I made it and I'd be happy. And it's not like I wouldn't continue to strive to like continue to grow, but like that's my dream collab right there. What about you? What's your dream collab?
my dream club would be definitely Iron Mouse. I love again how she gives back to her community. She inspires so many people into giving back and also paying it forward. Like there's not many people that do that, and it's beautiful. It really is. And how she how she makes everyone laugh, and the way she fills the room with magic too. And I absolutely love it when she sings.
Also, you gotta
Like it,
admire her ability to overcome all that adversity with her being sick and still being able to, perform and with that stress of VTubing on top of stress of always being sick.
exactly. She again, she never blames her sickness or holds it against herself. She always like, hey, I have this, and I'm VTuber. And then she like also has a like explains it to others in a way that they're like, oh, well, maybe I should give back
Kill it with
and
fire.
help out.
Kill it with fire. Somebody kill it. Thank you.
Um, Another one would be Mariyumi as well. I've
Ooh.
watched basically most of her videos on YouTube on how to be a VTuber and her content too, where she like goes through the process of like how to be a VTuber and like what to do, what not to do, um, and stuff like that. Yes, there is rights or wrongs in VTubing. Like hey, break into US. That's hella big. That's no. Or like just being a dick in general. Don't do that. You know, a lot of people are gonna be after you if they find out.
Yeah. That's why
Uh,
That's why when we were just a couple of minutes ago talking about this, about there's no wrong way to do it, but then we were like, yes, there is. You kind of can't say there isn't because we've seen the wrong way of doing it. But at
oh
the
yeah,
same time, it's just like find your style, find your niche, and make it happen. And then all these people, you've got plenty of guides now. It's no longer I don't know how to do this. This is where do I look? And that's a bit overwhelming. I get that, but if you look, you'll find it. You can go on Etsy and find pre-mades. You can go to like on YouTube and find tutorials on how to be a people person, how to fake personality, if you will, to because you could be a character. You don't have if you don't like being yourself, you can be a character. But understand when you're a character, people are going to fall for that character and not you. So then that genuine connection may not happen, or you might feel better as that character. Which
Speaking of that too,
go
there's
ahead.
people that will parasocial. Like that's another thing you gotta look out for when there's like people that are like that. They get so connected to you, they don't look at the person behind that character that has feelings, and they're like, after that certain person, like they would either like love bomb you or they would like do this, that, other thing for you or whatever. You just got to be careful with that because there are people out there that are crazy and that would take that parasocial relationship to the next step, which is basically
Stalking.
stalking.
Which I have plenty of those stories. Not that I've done it or somebody's done it to me, but friends of mine have been stalked, have had people. Well, one of our mutuals, Kibby, recently went through that with Shin. But they were dating it, and then he got to the point where it was just hold on, I'm trying to not drop stuff, and I accidentally spilled water. I was trying to hydrate. It's so wet. But it's just people like that. I get it. I get it. They're genuine people out there, but at the same time, you got to realize that your safety is also of importance. So you gotta be careful what you say online.
Yes, be careful what you say online because depending on what you say, there's people out there that would be like, "Oh, I don't like this what you're saying. I don't like it at all. I don't like your content," and then they leave. Say if you say like something outrageous and wild, and then the
Well,
next moment these people are like, "Oh, they're like this. I don't like this," and they leave.
sort of like
Yeah, no.
if you're like, oh, I don't believe in this is gonna be super extreme, but I don't believe in somebody says on stream, it's like, oh, I don't believe in birth control, and that might just be somebody's yuck. They might not like that. It's like, well, I can't have kids. Why are you talking about that? And it's like you gotta watch what you say. Um,
Yeah, people have many different opinions on a lot of different
things.
yeah, things, especially like politics, which this is why we don't bring up politics.
or or religion. It's basically like a first date. The first date rule is you don't talk about sex, religion, or politics because you're sending. It's a joke. I think Chris Rock or said it that you're not going as yourself. You go as a representative. So you're showing people this is part of me. You might like this part, but you don't want to show them too much because then it's like what the fuck. But it's like one of those. There are people who can be genuine, and there's people who make a living off of talking about politics. But it's like you got to find what works for you. And just keep hammering that over and over again. But that's the basic of streaming: is you find what works for you. It's going to be difficult. It's not going to be an easy, straight, narrow, or straight road. It's always going to be bumps, and you got to figure out. VTubing is all about scuff and overcoming that scuff and being able to maintain that momentum to keep forward.
That's exactly how VTubing is. There's gonna be bumps, there's gonna be ridges, there's gonna be plenty of different roads to take. As long as you're choosing the right path and right road, you're fine. You're good. Start slowly and then eventually you start growing to be a lot bigger and you grow amazing, beautiful community that supports you. You have awesome friends there too.
Mm-hmm. And if you have a significant other, hopefully they support you because that's a big boost when your significant other is in the same hobby as you. Then it makes it. I mean, at the same time, sometimes you don't want somebody that's in the same hobby as you because you want your own private time, and that could be your private time.
Exactly.
What's your opinion on couple streaming?
Couple streaming?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's okay as long as you definitely know that they're the one and you want to stream with them. I've literally had a friend went through a process where they were streaming with her significant other. Everything worked out, things were going good, and then all of a sudden the girl kind of dropped off from hanging out with the guy as much, and then, you know, they split up, and their channel was supposed to be them together, and then once things didn't go so well, they had to break up.
Sounds like he's playing
That
Mario.
happens. It's okay. I think it's beautiful though when like two people, even as a couple, they stream together, they play games together, they chill, they hang out,
Yeah,
and
because
they share their communities as well, and they can do basically anything together. But sadly, sometimes people have to hide the fact that they are together in order to make sure that no one has like that parasocial stuff going on, or they just don't want to tell people because it could be into a big drama fest and they don't want to deal with that.
speaking of that, since it's going to be on other things, YouTubers, yay or nay? Well, I know I like certain YouTubers, but my
Loot tubers are okay. There's nothing wrong with them. They do have a loot side to them, which is okay. Not everyone has to be lewd just because they are lewd. I know some people are like, oh, they are lewd. I have to like lewd things. No, that's not the case. If you like that side of them, that's fine. That's good. And if you like comfy vibes and, other stuff like that, that's okay too. There's a niche for literally anyone and everyone. But as for LootTuber, um, don't be weird. Don't be going into their DMs and being like, "Hey, you wanna come date or something?" Or like, something lewd, like
dating's
and
kind of.
outrageous.
I was gonna say, yeah, dating isn't lewd unless you're like, do you want to be my? I can't say it. It's against TOS. Never mind. But
Or even if you're not a LootTuber, don't go into someone's DMs and be like, "Hey, can I see your tit?" And I'm like, "Bro, no,
oh,
don't say that."
so you've gotten
No.
you've gotten those DMs, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, how about I see them non VR or VTuber tits? Huh? How about what? Yeah, guys don't receive that a lot. It's more so, well, the top VTubing guys probably receive it a lot, but like it's mainly females. It's like guys being super parasocial, being like, "I love you," and you don't even know them, but you're like, "But I see your character, and I spend all this money on you." That's another thing. People perceive that, oh, just because I spend money on you, that means I own you somehow. This
I
is,
mean, it goes both ways. It's not like one single way. You know what I mean?
yeah.
There's there, there's a lot of people that are like that, and you just gotta look out for them. And there's some people that play off as like one of those dom type, and they think that they can just do that to literally anyone and pressure them into anything, doing
Sorry,
anything like sexual, and then turn around and be like, yeah, no.
that's
And you're just like, what? You just
I
did this. And
I
then it makes you feel so uncomfortable, and you're like, yeah, no.
I feel like this is you speaking from personal experience
Yes. It is. It definitely is.
because a lot of it, like to be that precise, you kind of like it's like a personal experience kind of talk instead of it just being a generalized, oh, this and this. But no, it's like this happened. Don't be that person. But like,
And it does happen.
mhm.
Trust me.
Oh, I know. Well, I haven't heard all of it, but I know some of the what's going on. It's only because I hang around a lot. But with with hold on.
Yeah. Hello?
I said, hold on, hold on, hold on.
Oh, I was.
Hey, Katsu, why don't you entertain chat?
Entertain chat! Oh
Yeah,
no.
you're gonna have to learn how to yap.
Ah. Entertain chat. That's crazy. What? What is going on with this guy's belly? It's like pulling up bullets, man. That's crazy. Why does that make me feel like the Goonies, but not really the Goonies? It's it's that one kid. What's his name? Off of the Goonies. Let me check. Goonies. Gooners? The Goonies. Who's that one kid? Is it Chuck? Was it Mikey? Characters. Cast. Yeah. Mouth? No. Chuck is the other guy, right? Goonies. Who was the kid? Is it Mikey? I have no idea. Iron stomach. Yeah, that's what I feel. Put this on the stream. I didn't do it, it's hollow. I have no idea. Yeah, Goonies. Goon Squad. I don't know. Is his name Chuck? It's not Chuck, is it? The one kid. Well, what's his name? Yeah, it is Chuck. His name is Chuck. Yeah. Yeah, I was right. The Gooners. Lagooners. All the Gooners. Every single Gooner gooning. But yeah, the guy makes me feel like the Gooners, you know? The Chuck. Okay. Okay, I see what you did there. The Gooners. But then who's this guy? I don't know. He looks like he should be in one of the Jason Bourne movies. He has a bald head. He has it coming. He has the furious face. He knows what he's doing. That bow tie, though. Look, it's so big. This outfit, too, 10 out of 10. Would I ever wear it? Probably not. Nah, I'm good. I don't like suits. I don't wear those things. I would never want to wear those. Even especially like even if it's like a job wise. Suits are kinda scary. Even though they probably make me wear like a skirt or something. Yeah, no, I'm good. Good. Look at it. Like my belly jiggles exactly like this, guys. Like it just, you know, it's one of those things. It does it, and it just, I just feel like at this point, this guy's just me, and I'm just deflecting every single thing. Hmm. Every single thing that's coming towards me, just all of it gone, no longer there. He's just having a fun time. Don't worry. It's like Fortnite all over again. You know, you got those kids that think they're invincible, and they with their shields, and they just come running in. And then you're just sitting there with one of your guns from Fortnite, and you're just like, "Oh yeah, I got you, buddy." And then you just go to town, and then they cry. Mhm. It's exactly. It's exactly it. But yes, the gooners. All the gooning gooners. I'm trying to figure out where that. Unless it's from a scene from something else. I don't know. I can't imagine it being somewhere. What else did he, like, kind of star in? Chuck from Goonies. What other things have you. Jeff? His name is Jeff Conan? Conan? Conan. Cohan. Cohen. Chuck Gooney. What did he star in? Hold on, wait. What is his movies? What movies have you starred in? Movies. He only started 3 movies? Are you kidding me? Wait a minute. Okay. In 1988, he was literally in the Scooby-Doo Ghoul School. The movie. That one's pretty good. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. And then there's 1986 Ask Max. I think that's probably what it's from, maybe. And then the other movie he is from is 1985. 1985, The Goonies. And he hasn't done any other movie since. I think he pretty much banked off of The Goonies and he was done. Which is okay. That's a very good movie. And it's a very solid one, for sure. Man, oh man. Who, what did he play in the Scooby-Doo one, though? He played as Grunt? Oh no, wait, there's another movie. Wait a minute. 1991, The Perfect Harmony as Ward? Oh, he played in some, it looks like TV series too. Notable appearances include Family Ties, 1984 to 1987. I don't think I've seen that one. The Magic World of Disney, 1986. Okay. ABC, After School Specials, 1985, 1986. Popeye and Son? What? Okay. She's the Sheriff, 1987. And then there's Percy, 1987. That's a. So he has been in like other TV series and stuff, and then movies. But Goonies was like his actual last. Well, no. The way I look at it is. The last one should be the Scooby Doo one. Yeah, 1988. Yeah. No, actually, no. That's not it. Oh, let's see. Perfect Harmony as a word. That's the last one. 1991. That's the very last one. He should have been A-okay with. That's crazy. But who did he. What is Ask Max about? Oh, that's a Disney film. What's it about? Let's see. A 12-year-old genius. Poor Max is a washout socially. To impress his girlfriend, he sells the design of his last invention, a jumping bike, to a major toy company. Oh, that's pretty cool. I mean, let's be honest. There's some people that would do that too to impress their girlfriends. They would definitely, yeah. I can't believe that. But it's a good movie. It looks like I'll probably add that to my list of
No, you won't.
movies and rewatch the Scooby Doo and the Ghoul School.
Oh, Scooby Doo's would be good. I didn't hear any of that.
What was your BRB scream? Who
Oh,
was in there?
that's Chunk from Goonies, and then there's Captain Picard. So it's somebody meshed the two together. Chunk was doing the truffle shuffle, and then Captain Picard was firing his Tommy gun because he goes and gets teleported in time to the 1950s Chicago or 1940s Chicago. It's Star Trek.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I figured it was like Chunk. Because I
Hmm.
was like, wait a minute, that's Chunk. He's literally there. And then I was like, where's that other guy from? Because like I've never seen him.
Yes, that's my BRB screen.
Alright, that's why I was like so I was looking it up, I was like, okay. That works.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's a silly VRB screen until what I wanted to do is get somebody to edit it so that the words BRB goes in and it's kind of morbid, but go into his skin and it'd be like it's shooting up the word BRB.
Oh,
But I
okay, I
kept it as
see.
that. But I what were we in the middle? What was I in the middle of talking about that I got interrupted? Cool.
Oh my
Anyway,
love.
so my question was gonna be like, are you gonna try to lean more into more into lewd or less? Are you gonna try to be more like lewd, half like in middle ground where you're somewhat lewd and gremlin-y, or being more
Um,
say so and gremlin-y?
I'm gonna lean more towards like lewd some, so like in between lewd and then wholesome. Like as much as I would love to just strictly be lewd, there's a lot of different things that come to being just full-time lewd. You would have to appease so many people and it's like, okay, well, it gets tiring after a while. And then if you have like a eventually get a partner later down the line and they don't like that side of you and then yeah. There's a whole another book of worms to come out. And it's
Yeah,
like, I'm more lewd some because I'm not that full on lewd. I do say out of pocket things here and there, but I'm leaning towards just
yeah.
the
You
lewd some.
you save the lewdness for your significant other when you're more lewd with them than you are with your audience.
Exactly, exactly.
I say I'm weird and I say out of pocket stuff, but I'm not like lewd. I don't have that kind of confidence, and I applaud you and everybody else who goes and does that stuff that has their own like outside channels outside of Twitch that do stuff, and it I understand how stressful and hard it could be because of like situations and
True.
and like we were talking, if you want to do your loot thing, you can do your loot thing. It's just know that that's what people are coming there for. Don't be like a surprise, like, oh, why is he talking to me like that? I understand. I understand. Don't take it that way. The way what I'm trying to say is that people should treat you like a person, yes. But if you're gonna do lewd things and then somebody's talking to you lewd, don't wonder why. It's like you stepped in shit. Your foot's gonna smell like shit. It's not gonna smell like a bed of roses.
Exactly. Like if you're gonna be lewd towards that person's gonna be lewd back, and it's gonna continue and so forth, unless you end up putting boundaries up. That's why so many lewd tubers have boundaries set specifically for their audiences. And if you cross that line, they will straight up tell you, hey, get out. Like, this is not happening. You can't do this to me. I am a human being. You need to treat me with respect, even if it's during stream.
So, do you have any stream stories you want to share? Like any interesting things that may get people interested in streaming, or maybe any like cautionary tales?
Um, you'd be really surprised on the people that do raid you. Like it can range from literally to the smallest to the biggest, and you're just like, oh no. I don't think I have that many streamer stories exactly. I've had ones where there's outrageous things that happen on stream where it's like I had to delete my VODs
Oh
because
yeah.
of
Mhm.
people
Mhm.
because of people rating like pretty bad things on the stream when playing Gartic Phone, and it's just like, oh,
Or when
okay,
we played what was it? What's the other the drawing game?
Jackbox,
Not the not Jackbox drawing game, but the other one. Gardic Phone.
Gartic Phone.
Remember people drawing sports stickers and
Yeah,
pentagrams?
exactly. Yeah, and it's just like, please don't do that. That's not what the stream's for, and we're here to entertain everyone and also make friends and whatnot. So don't do that.
Yeah, we're not trying to get banned here. If I wanted to get banned, I know how to speed run that. So,
Exactly.
speaking of chat and things, any collabs coming up you wanna, or any projects you wanna shout out?
Mm, I have my one project that's coming up pretty soon where it's eventually there will be a video of introducing the Vivid Vixens, which is a VTuber group that I decided to create for Wednesdays. They hang out with two other girls, and then eventually we'll bring other girls online to also hang out with us, or we'll just also do nights where we hang out with our community as well with the Vivid Vixens. The video would be just basically introducing each of us as a group member,
Also,
and we'll be opening up a YouTube channel eventually as well for that.
do you want to post the socials for yourself and the two other girls so people
Yeah,
can
I can
follow
do
these
that.
Vivid Vixens?
Will do, will do. Let me grab them.
And then, what times do you normally stream?
Right now the streaming schedule is pretty messed up, but next week I'll be streaming every single day. Some days I will be streaming at 5 o'clock EST, 5 p.m. EST, I should say, not in the morning, not in the morning. It'll be get late at night, or it'll be 8 o'clock p.m. EST to we usually go to around 11 o'clock p.m. EST. Or later, depends on the day and
How
how I
much coffee
feel.
you drink?
Yeah.
Like last night?
Yeah, I stayed up longer than I should have. We
And you
have
stayed up with Kibby watching her videos and watch the commercials till like 5 in the morning.
true.
That
It
doesn't
was pretty crazy and fun.
that doesn't speak to the power of a friend group of being able to do all this. That's like
There's the links.
because if you didn't have a tight knit group, that you probably would have just been right off the bed. It's like okay, night, but like hanging out with everybody at the VC definitely I enjoy people's companies. Some more than others.
Everyone has a different also time zone, so it makes it a little bit harder to hang out with every single person. But I try my best to work around my schedule and other people's schedules to kind of just hang out with everyone and vibe.
Yes, the vibe is good. Speaking of which, would you say what? Oh, no, hold on. What would you say normally my stream vibe is, and I'll tell you what I think of your stream vibe.
Your stream vibe is that you're very chaotic and you are also comfy at the same time too. You have like moments where you're just like, oh, I want to be a little gremlin, and then other moments you're just like, locked in, being comfy and chilling and playing Kingdom Hearts or a Zelda game. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very funny.
I would say you're very like when you're not being a gremlin, and it's a very comfy stream. Like I could go into your stream and put it on my TV and fall asleep. The like if you were to stream Stardew again, not Stardew, Disney again, like what we used like you, that one day or no, one week you were doing the donathon, and we stayed up until like 3, 4 o'clock just talking while you were doing your Disney thing.
Yeah, chatting and then just also like, there's a lot of that's why that's why like there's so many people that coming into like the VC occasionally once in a while, and they just fall asleep because they like the sound of my voice and they just go to sleep to it, like how Lucy does.
I I just
I
it's
think I
comfy.
think like Goat does the same thing, but you know what? That's okay.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. I've noticed that. Like, well, Goat mainly does it because he's overworks himself and then just hangs out in the VC and then goes ends up in the sleep because he doesn't talk.
True, true.
But
Which that's okay. I have nothing against it.
mhm.
If you want to sleep, you can sleep.
But you should
Yeah.
definitely follow Kibby and Trash Goblin on top of following Katsu if you already haven't. And for those who can't click on the link, I'll provide a link in the video to the separate wikis, but
Witches.
they're usually streaming around 8 o'clock. They do play DBD and other games. It's usually a closed collaboration. Occasionally, they will open it up, and those.
Yes, occasionally we do have times where we play open collabs, especially on Wednesdays, where yes, we are a group, but we also want to hang out with our communities and play lots of different games together. So that way it not only brings our communities together, but also like, makes our group a little bit closer and we can all hang out together and, it won't be as stressful. It won't be like, just us. It'll be also like others too.
Yeah, and speaking of games, any games that you're excited for?
I'm excited to continue Monster Hunter Wilds and excited to also probably eventually play Puppy Playtime all the way through
Hmm,
1 through 4.
now that your computer's
And
optimized for it.
yes,
Yes.
yes. And then eventually also play some Brutal Company and
Yeah.
maybe some other stuff too on top of it, like co-op Elden Ring,
Hell yeah.
Seamus co-op. Yeah.
So, in your opinion, how do you think Wilds compares to the World? Which one did you like better?
For what?
For Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter?
Yeah.
Uh, for the monsters for that we already hunted so far.
I'm just saying in general,
Uh,
the general feel between World and Wilds.
there's definitely a lot better graphics in Wilds than there is in Worlds. The mechanics in Wilds is extremely so much better for the bow gun. Like, you don't have to press as much to hold back and shoot it, the heavy bow gun. And also, yeah, we don't have the clutch claw as much for that. But you know what? It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But other than that, like, it's a lot more to it. And I like it.
Hmm.
You could do also a lot more customization and stuff to your characters, which I enjoy. What about you?
I it's early for Wild, but I do like what we've done so far in Wild. It's Worlds. It was kind of a I like how they simplified Wilds, the sort of like match what people wanted from Worlds. I'm hoping with one of the updates we get G rank, which is the hardest rank apparently after Master rank. It's monsters are supposed to like three hit you. It's gonna be like versing like a bunch of Tigrex all over again.
Oh no, I don't like T-Rex.
But
That's the only one I think I don't like the most because of the way it like comes at you.
mhm.
And it's only me. I don't know why. Like maybe it's because of how much damage I'm doing to it, or like I have no idea. But once it comes after me, I'm just like, nope,
Yeah,
I gotta get it far away. And I also like the thing about wilds is that you can also get on to your bird and like kind of like leave, but not go too far away from the monster itself in order to go back to kill it. Because
yeah.
that also will save you in the long run too. And it's so much easier and it makes it so much faster too.
And you're less stressed.
Yeah. Because, like, if you're trying to do it solo, I mean, there's a lot of people that want to do it solo.
But you joined in on World after the fact of its life cycle where it was like all the DLC and monsters have come out. Whereas Wild, you're just getting into it fresh off the block. Like you're getting all the content the same time it comes out. So it's a big thing as opposed to already having everything at your fingertips.
Yeah.
I know this is supposed to be streaming, but it's just like it's one of the we started on Monster Hunter, and and it's one of the things I love yapping about is Monster Hunter. Like playing DBD. I also have fun playing DBD with you guys. Like being a
DBD.
killer. That two v
That's
eight
because
killer was so
listen,
much
that's
fun.
because we mess around with the killer. We don't like, we do our own thing. Yes, we, do our gens, do that kind of stuff. But we also mess with the killers every once in a while. We,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
because it's super funny.
What like?
And then you get some cool killers that are like chilling with us, and we're just like, okay, all right, let's go.
But to bring up the two v eight, that was fun doing killer. Even though a couple times they've all but two escaped, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But anything else you want to make remarks on about streaming or VTubing in general?
Just be yourself, dude. Like, there's so much stuff out there. And VTubers out there too that they literally can hide behind a character. Yeah, that's fine, but you know, just be yourself, and then eventually others will come through.
Yeah. Well, we hit the hour 14 mark only because like a couple minutes were. But did you want to continue talking, or would you like to go over to the game and play Schedule One,
We can play the game.
and then we can
Let's
continue
go.
the yap?
Yeah. All right. Let's pull it up. Did you want to switch over to
Yeah,
my VC?
yeah.
That way we have go in.
We'll do a live VC.
Uh,
Did you do you see who's in Fox Den? Geo the
Yeah,
kitty.
yeah.
Geo the kitty.
How do I uproot back?
Mm-hmm.
I said Geo the kitty cat. Geo the kitty cat. Alright. Oh, highlighter's already in. I don't know if he wants to still come with us or not.
Well, tell him he's welcome to join. And then Goat's supposed to be joining us.
By the way, I will message to see what he says. Dun, dun, dun. But yeah. Oh, hi. Hello, welcome in.
Alright, Goat, do you wanna shout out your socials?
You don't have to.
Oh, come on. I don't mind. You can I'd like people to know who I'm playing with.
Sure.
He's like, I guess. Also, you should definitely, if you're in chat, people, and you're not already following to the file.
Oh, you have to add it that way?
Yeah.
Oh.
Bam, bam.
Bum, bum,
Bam,
bum.
bam, 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 bam.
But Katsu, would you ever go back to what you call it? Back to Monster Hunter world.
Oh, I would definitely play it again. It's a good story.
Well, you still
They have a
have
good the whole story is really good. I would definitely, go back to playing it.
the grinding
It's just
lands that
I
you need to
prefer
do.
WoWs more.
Yeah. Which you have the grinding lands that you still have to do.
True.
And then you got to do Sophie Jiva. After Safi, then there is Fatalis, Behemoth, and then what other one? And then Fatalis. And then once you beat Fatalis, you've beaten the entire game.
Let's go. There's more to it.
Yeah.
Pog.
All right. Can I get another invite, please? And thank you.
I didn't do the modded one, so
Yeah, that's fine.
because I didn't know if we were doing modded.
All right. I am. Goat, you can launch it via the vanilla thing. You can go into Thunderstorm and launch it as vanilla. Unless you don't have the mods, then you can just launch it on whatever.
Probably just do vanilla then.
Okay. My stream crashed for a second, or OBS crashed for a second. It said it disconnected.
Oh no.
But yeah, Goat, any tips on streaming from your end? Highlighter.
Oh, Highwater's here.
Yeah, it's the Goonlighter.
What's up, Gooner?
Honestly, the number one tip for me is just be yourself.
What about you, Highlighter?
Never.
Any advice?
Never.
I just got in here. I don't know.
On streaming?
No.
Sure. What you eating?
Chili with cheese, Fritos, and I have tortillas as well.
Tortillas!
Did you say jelly or chili?
Chili.
Chili.
Okay, I was good because I'm like, if that.
My personal opinion for streaming, just stream what you enjoy.
Exactly. You don't know how many people play like Hello Kitty and they absolutely hate Hello Kitty. Like, come on, just
Kitty,
play
right?
something. Just play something you enjoy and you love. Like that's all you gotta do, you know.
I'll probably save this chili for tomorrow.
But Fritos
No
is the
way.
best way to eat your chili is like having those crunchies in there. Yeah, that's good texture. And then
Well, I
yeah,
have a mix of a few different cheeses. I have cheddar, Swiss, and Colby Jack. It's so good.
nice. That sounds really good. That sounds like a lactose intolerance nightmare though.
Alright.
But I was gonna say you can have jelly on a tortilla, just not when you're eating chili. It's
Chili on the tortilla.
have you never
Tortilla?
done a
Tortilla.
tortilla? Have you never put chili in your tortilla?
No. What?
Then your chili's not thick enough if you can't put it on a tortilla and just eat it like it.
Or put it on there. Why would I put it on there?
You're not putting on the whole thing. You're just putting enough that you get a nice glob in there, and then you put cheese, guacamole, and sour cream. Wrap it up, and it's on. Exactly, food is food.
Food is definitely food, but I don't. I've never done that.
I shouldn't say that.
What were you gonna say?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
No,
Say it. Say it. Say it with your chest.
I shouldn't.
So you
Identify
out with it.
food.
identify as food.
Oh, you want to be eaten, huh?
Perhaps.
Mayhaps. Yes, let me. It shut it out, nerd. Yes, I'm here with Highlighter Man 3 and then Mistaken Goat. I just call him Goat, and then Highlighter Goonlighter in BC. No! Damn it!
Oh, that reminds me. I'm still waiting on Sushi to give me a new name.
Wow. Oh. We're still waiting on Goat.
Yeah.
Did you get the invite, Goat?
Yeah, I did. I was just doing something.
Oh, okay. My bad. Well, yeah, you should check out Katsu's other socials, which she'll eventually put her Twitter and any other thing that she wants you to follow.
Stream tonight.
What? No,
What the
that's.
heck?
Yeah, I'm not streaming tonight. That's
She's-
crazy, right?
She said she wasn't gonna stream.
Heck.
She said she wasn't gonna.
God damn it.
Oh my goodness, not streaming.
Damn, I feel left out. All you guys have ears. And then there's me.
The question mark.
Why you with ears on top of your head now too?
Well, I mean, look at
We
highlight.
just, you know, we
Hi-
take highlighter's ears and then put it on your ears, and there you go.
Well,
Do you wanna?
True. True.
What? We could reattach other ears to highlighter.
if you look at my ears, they're supposed to be. So the person messed up and made fox ears on it instead of cat ears.
Yeah, they're both two different
Oh,
things.
yeah, pointed tips instead of like,
Rounded, yeah.
fuck is. Yeah.
Make some dorks.
Don't ask. My other thing, the thing's name is called hentai.
Crazy.
You
What?
made another drug group called Hentai?
Yeah, it was my solo run.
Okay,
Alright,
that
well-
makes that
My
makes so much
solo
sense.
run.
That makes so much
Well,
sense.
I mean, listen.
No,
Now we
no,
can
it-
add more stuff on here.
Do you want me
What
to
do you mean more stuff?
take over the deals? Like I can do drug running
I'm gonna
and
need. Oh my god, you made. Okay, you know what?
'cause when me and Turbo were playing, I got us within the first 3 days like almost $5,000.
Shame.
Because he was just
Also, in my opinion, I feel like we should stick to just like one or two.
No, we have plenty of us. We could do drug runs.
No, that's not. I understand the drug runs. I'm saying one or two trains. Not
Nah, it's okay. We can
five.
do more.
well, no,
we can do
could
more.
yeah, we could have 2 people working on like 2 different strains and then 2 drug runners.
Yeah. See?
Do you
We
want
got
me to just
this.
start accepting the deals?
Yeah, you can
We have
discuss the
plenty
deal.
of them here.
Alright, I
I'm
got.
just-
I got. Wait, hold on. Where's Highlighter? He's got to try thick cock.
Oh, we're gonna end up. Oh my. Of course you made it that.
That was what it was the last time. It had,
Yeah.
I
he's gotta
know.
try
It was a good thick cock.
Oh, yo.
Oh my.
What's up?
Alright, it's right here.
Katsu.
It's on
Yeah.
the shelf.
Next
What?
week, do you want the
Right.
topic to be foods?
Ooh, yeah.
We can make a tier list. So we could
Katsu,
start
turn
on that
around,
like
turn
the day
turn around.
before.
She's still loading in. Alright.
Alright.
I don't know if she is. I know
What do you
how-
mean?
Turn around.
Oh no, he's doing it again. It changed. What did you do with highlighter?
Where's highlighter?
What did you do with
Where's
him?
highlighter? Where's
Where
highlighter?
is he? Where's
Ow.
highlighter? Where's highlighter? Where is he? Ow, he's punching me.
Oh no!
I had some stuff on me. Oh no. I got a fine. 250. Oh no.
Oh no!
Do you want Jesse to be in the morning or? Oh, okay.
I have no idea. I
Um,
said go for it.
do it during the so we get more
But
money
it was
at
already
night.
accepted.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I didn't accept it.
I normally run it at night. Like if they
Well, it's already night. I didn't know.
What are
if
you doing
wanted
peeing on
to-
him? What a... Oh!
Goat, do you have any
Peeing on
any
him.
Do I have
food?
any what?
Do you got any thick cock on you?
Yeah, I have 8.
Look
Hey,
how
Okay.
he said it casually.
We need the California cookie, so I need.
Oh,
We're missing one. Let's see.
sauerkraut supreme. 4 California cookies.
Product. Okay, so that is
To the bridge. 2 thick cock.
California cookie. So that is thick. I just rename them myself usually when California cookie. So that is
I'm gonna have
Coke
the...
and the sour diesel. Okay, I just need 1 sour diesel.
All the
Oh.
above, yeah.
Well, poofed.
Oh
Oof.
no.
I get an invite.
I'll be back.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go. Just
There's
gonna
the
cause
nearest.
mayhem. What's up? No.
Alright, so then I'm gonna do this. Gonna take a couple seconds.
Oh, so I got. Okay. I was
You
sent
made me
back in
angry.
time.
I gotta do this. Then I gotta go over here. Gotta unpackage this.
Under the bridge. Oh, what was that for? Get back here!
Okay, so I gotta go here.
Get out here!
And beat him up.
No,
Beat him
fine.
up.
I'm gonna stay right here. I'm gonna take this can. My can now. My can now.
What are you talking
My can
about?
now. My can now.
Are you fighting your demons over there?
That's exactly
Don't
what she's
worry
doing.
about it.
What? Jesus.
Don't worry about it.
Pack. Alright. Pack.
Yeah?
What the Okay, I'm done with you.
What do you
What's
mean?
No. What's even funnier is you can do it on this side too.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like you could literally
Who's
go all the
gonna
way
willing
around.
to risk their life just to stand outside there?
Open the blinds.
Mom, there's a creepy man outside!
There's a naked Jesus outside. Help.
It's a naked dude. What did you do to the wall? It's dirty as fuck.
Collect. Are we getting no one's doing the dead drop?
I'm doing it. I'm
The drop. There should be a lot, because I ordered a lot. We have enough people where we can branch out more. Hello.
Let me escape from the popo.
Wake up.
Wake up. Put the makeup up and wake
Wake
up.
up. Wake up. Oh!
I just hear
Oh!
somebody get smacked.
You didn't hear shit.
I
You
Thank
did
you,
do it.
Blue.
He turned the light off. Oh no.
Where is under the
Oh
bridge?
no, he turned the light
I
off.
got the.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm heading back then. I'm ready yet. I'm gonna gamble. That's
Gonna
you.
gamble
Want to join me in
already?
gambling?
Let's go. Casino time? Watch me get caught by the cops because you were gambling.
Let's go gambling.
I don't know the layout of this place, so I mean, we're just gonna go with it.
Look where my character is. It should be on the map. Hell yeah! Won it big. I won $100.
That's a poncho. Let's go. Oh shit! Cops out?
Let's go gambling.
Alright. We're just gonna accept this.
I have a feeling I lagged out again.
And
Did you? No, you're still here. Yeah, you're still there.
Benji is just standing in front of his hotel room.
Oh. Let's go gambling! They can't catch us, right? No way.
ooh, stand.
Gonna make it 20. I don't
Fuck
know how to
you.
gamble right, so we're gonna try.
Fuck this dealer, cheater.
Ah! No! Man. This is why I go to slot machines.
Hell yeah. Okay.
Oh, let's go. I won 50. Let's go again.
Here, you take those two. I'll take these three.
Oh no, I'm just gonna go one. Oh my god! This is bad. I'm not lucky. I suck.
Play blackjack then.
I suck. Alright, I'm out.
Let's go all in. Red.
Shit. Shit. We're going the back way.
Lower. Alright, lost all the money. That's cool.
Yay! Oh wait, that's right. I can do this too while we're here.
I might have got caught!
Oh no.
I'm running. Alright, we're gone. Alright. They're no longer following me. Let's go. No! Get out! Leave me alone.
Okay.
I'm not under arrest.
Alright, I made it back. Who's peeing on the water now? What?
Peeing on the water. What do you mean peeing on the water? That's what you're
Why
supposed
Why are
to
you
do.
peeing on a... Yeah, let's go sleep. Highlighter?
He said be right back.
Oh.
Gonna have a hot orgy on the bed.
Hey, yo. What the?
Alright, who's got the watering can?
Not me.
Yeah, I have the feeling I'm glitched again.
What do you mean?
Is highlighter on the floor for you?
It's because he got knocked out, so he until he hits revive, respawn, he's gonna stay there.
Oh, so can you water the? Can you water
Oh,
the
he said
thing?
he's gonna be there soon.
I don't have the water can. Somebody has the water can.
Highlighter does.
Oh yeah, highlighter has the water can.
Highlighter has it.
Beat his body up, Katsu.
I already did.
Ow, what? Ow. Not my body, his body.
What the?
You just
Not me!
Katsu.
Oh my. $23, bro.
$6.
23 for me!
Kill me, Katsu.
I didn't do it. It was.
It was
Yeah, you
All I had
did.
was
I
$6.
heard you.
little
I heard you.
gremlin.
Alright, let's go to
Because you
sleep.
were like, oh, and then Goat's just like, oh, hi.
Your sleep schedule's fucked up. What did you do?
Alright.
Looks like fuck your
Uh,
sleep schedule.
Yeah,
we
it
don't
looks
talk about that.
Katsu's actual sleep schedule. Tells everybody to get a good sleep, and then
Okay, so we've got green crack, sour diesel, green crack.
I can probably put another. I'm gonna get another grow tent.
Let's take.
I'll get one grow tent, and then what's that? 5? Yeah, 5 bags of the blue stuff. Okay.
Yeah, blue stuff.
All right. Grow tent. Blink wall.
Guys.
Go to mixing station.
I'm gonna go be menace. Me. Do you need anything from the store?
Sandy.
I got. Oh, I
Oh,
got.
yeah, Mark?
Trash.
No, you can.
Trash
You can.
bags.
What?
You want to go get the trash bags?
Oh yeah, I can get them.
Okay. Okay. You go. Do you want to remove the? I don't know. I'll do this. Yeah. I got the automatic one now.
Imagine. Woo! Womp womp.
Womp womp.
Yeah?
Womp womp.
Oh, Austin's over here. Complete that one.
You have
I
the.
didn't do it.
Okay. I'll go and.
Thick
What-
cock is over there.
We don't have any thick cock.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you do?
Should just be on
I'm
that
running
one.
around selling, going just trying to sell it.
Okay.
I'm just randomly selling whatever I have.
But I got the new packing station. That's if you wanna.
Let's go.
Also,
Alright.
if you see any customers, try to
Try to get them free samples.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've got 2 potential customers.
I don't need a haircut. We're gonna end up getting the laundromat. Are we good on that? Laundromat's over here too.
Yeah.
Popo. Alright.
Where are the bags and do we need to get more bags?
I go
Garbage
grab-
bags.
For packing? No, for packing.
I got them.
Oh, here, highlighter. Here's
Well, they should
I
be
got 11
packing
baggies.
some. Packing some of the baggies.
Oh, I still have them, yeah.
But will use some musky.
Hey yo, ooh, you're some musky.
Well, I guess I could see what these plants are anyway.
There's some trash bags.
I'm gonna put some purple crack.
Anyway. Forgot I can give her some too.
Ah, Keith.
Yeah, she's downstairs. What are you doing?
Do
You're
you want me
making
to
a
package the diesel? Or not?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the diesel and the green crack.
Yeah. Drug
Crack.
Lord Katsu says yes.
Drug lord. Do I
Hmm?
look like a drug lord to you?
Yes. You look like you're on your Disney villain arc.
Yeah, could be.
Now, are you a singing Disney villain or a non-singing Disney villain?
All the above. Alright. Gonna go sell my last 2 weed I have on me. Probably a bad idea, but you know, we're gonna do it. We need 2 thick cock over here for Peter. I don't know.
Peter.
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 Peter wants the thickness.
Highlighter, how many baggies do you need?
Close for
A
renovation.
lot.
Shit.
Okay, let's see. That's
I'll be fine with like if you give me like 50 of them.
okay. Gotcha. I'm in.
You look high as fuck.
He's been smoking the product again. I'm gonna go to the gas station real quick, and I'm gonna get some gasoline so I can mix it with the purple granddaddy and make people shit themselves and catch on fire.
Catch on fire.
And apparently, it's super addictive.
Alright. There you go. That's my last of it.
Alright, our debt is paid.
Alright, sounds good. Hello!
Ooh, I just needed it to be nighttime.
Why didn't you back? Oh. Are you not bagging these ones up?
Hold on, I'm
There's no bags.
yeah.
Unless you got bags, Katsu.
I'll go grab some.
Well, Hollow's getting some.
Yeah, I'm getting
We'll get more. Double the more. Double the triple the yeah.
Yeah, blah, 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 blah.
Always need more. Boom. We got more. Alright. I got more.
Katsu,
What?
I gotta show you what I did.
What did you do now?
You'll see.
Is there a reason we're keeping OG Kush seeds or?
I
there?
don't.
Oh, we can use it as a
know.
mixer. We can use OG Kush seeds as a mixer for making OG weed, and then we'll just use it to do test batches.
Okay.
There you go. Now don't ask me. I have no idea.
Hey, Crow. What's up, Crow? That's it. Look behind you.
Why you
Pan on.
pissing?
Why?
Because I'm
Are
a
you pissing? Are
You're
you
the
a piss
one
tuber?
pissing.
I am
Are
a
you a
piss tuber.
piss tuber?
I am. What of it? Oh, take the bed to the pawn shop and you can sell it for money.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Are we saving and we can use it when we automate for one of the workers?
Nah, they get no rest.
Ain't no rest for the weekend.
There, I put 20 on there.
Need more shelves.
We don't have enough room for more shelves.
You guys
We're
have
just
the
get.
motel.
Oh, that's right.
No.
Oh, Kat said no. Okay, I guess no.
She
We
goes
should be
up.
fine. Listen, I don't want some random walking in there stealing our weed.
Yeah, they don't lock the door, so I agree with that there. Oh yeah, if you go to the thrift shop, Katsu, you can get cosmetics for your character.
Yeah.
Where is it? There you go. Crow, would you like some horse semen?
That's wild.
I can hear him now. Like, I beg your finest fucking pardon. I'll buy one.
He probably knew it was coming.
Mhm. Yeah, so did the horse.
Oh my god.
That's crazy.
Uh.
Yeah, he said, I beg your pardon.
See,
Listen,
it,
are you really smoking good kush if you don't lace it with horse semen?
I beg your pardon. Your finest pardon with that one. What you said about horse semen?
Yes, sir.
it coming.
That's wild.
That horse is coming, all right. And it don't stop
Yo.
coming.
No, he will not.
Does this one have something in it?
Where is
Probably not.
the...
First one, no.
This one?
Yeah, this one at the corner. It doesn't have anything.
Alright, let me open the
Let's
seed.
let's see what thick monkey...
Thick monkey. Thick
Monkey.
monkey. Why is that balance? What the heck? Please get inside.
Oh. Can I get one of the purples real quick?
Yeah.
I don't need it bagged. I just need it outside of the bag.
You just need one.
Yeah, Juan.
Okay.
One.
There's space over here. There you
Okay.
go. Do you mind taking the purple granddaddies to the deal as well?
Yeah, I'll take the purple granddaddies.
Granddaddies.
The granddaddies, huh?
Yeah.
My granddaddy.
Do we have a lot of purple granddaddies?
Yeah.
I only see one in the bag.
Did you need it in a bag? Because I put them on the shelf. There's literally 18 on the shelf behind you, by the way.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, because you said you don't need it bagged, so I gave you
Oh,
one bag.
yeah. I just needed one bagged and then. Alright. Let's see. So, I named this strain the Teehee because it makes you Michael Jackson. Alright,
Yeah.
I knew it.
Oh.
Granddaddy
There's tea.
Purple is skate park, okay. Four. Done. I usually, when I make the deals, usually on the phone, I charge them $10 extra.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Let them know what they getting themselves into.
No, they don't see it coming.
That's the point.
Being our guinea pigs. That's what
True.
you hand out free samples of like the thick cock and the
Oh yeah.
yeah. You know, I didn't name it. Goat did.
Yeah, goat. Goat named it.
Goat's like, yeah, they're gonna love my thick cock.
Not. Must be some.
Sorry, the text message all it says you got 3 thick cocks.
Okay, fine. What time? Jesus, they're angry.
They're not happy that.
Uh,
Do you not have any more thick cocks? Do you need me to brew you a couple of thick cocks?
That's
no,
crazy.
I've got enough for the 2.
I ordered
Like,
some
I
more,
already
so I
took it
mean,
off the. I already took it off the market.
Okay.
4
Okay.
hours.
I gave more.
Listen, I ordered more stuff.
Oh, did you figure out how to use the delivery thing where you can pick it up from the pallets yet?
No, I didn't do that.
So you can order it on your phone and have it delivered, and it'll tell you where it's dropping it.
Oh, great. Wonderful. I could just go down, to the place and just go grab it,
Mm-hmm. So if like the shop is
Acid. Oh shit.
That's
Ew.
Dolce.
all right.
Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, highlighter.
Are you
You shoulda
So-
you should have seen Goat's nipples when he had the thick cock.
Oh, I know. I was there and I was watching.
It was it
And I was going
was
Gucci
little
Gucci Goo.
was little pepperonis.
I beg all your pardon. That one.
What do you mean? Yeah, it was
Are
little
we gonna get
pepperoni.
more seeds eventually?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
Yeah, I
ask you.
ordered some more.
Okay.
We have to wait.
Yeah, wait, highlighter.
No. I'm used to having somewhat of a surplus.
That's he.
Highlighter.
Technically, we do have a
You're okay.
surplus. Oh, you mean surplus of seeds?
Yeah.
We have the warehouse, so we could start moving stuff too.
Oh, we
the
do.
warehouse is where we can just buy shit.
Oh, okay.
It's not.
Okay, I'm gonna go
Somebody go
grab
grab
more.
that drop.
Okay, I gotcha.
I'm going to sell some crack.
So. Oh,
We're doing a lot of things.
yeah. It'd be like that.
Granddaddy, got some.
Oh my god, I just found a meth pipe.
It's my meth pipe. I'm sorry.
Harder.
What?
What?
Huh?
I'm
you
punching
mean?
it. Don't worry.
I beg your finest pardon. Hello?
I'm taking my anger out on this machine.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to hear it.
You did not have to say harder like that, though.
But I did.
Yeah, you did.
I like how it spells Coke, guys.
Coke, yeah.
I'm putting the seeds.
Oh shit. Cups.
Of course.
Let me open the phone.
Yeet. Oh shit, they're on the corner.
Oh, so we
Oh.
can't
Yeah, I lit it.
Don't worry. It's fine.
uh, No siege. We weren't saying. So you can't buy any shelves. So
Nope.
You can buy shelves.
I don't-
Just pissing on plants.
you can't order them as a delivery on the phone.
Oh.
Because I'm looking at deliveries and it shows. So I went to the Dean's Hardware and there's no shelf up there. It's just baggies, fertilizer, long life, soil, trash bags, speed growth, PGR, jar, and extra long life soil.
Wow.
Iced. Ooh.
If I was talking about siege, I'd say sneege.
Sneege.
Oh, they ain't tell pussy nobody and nothing. I like the fuss back, guys. Come on now, you YouTube.
Blue, you should get into Terraria with me and Puppers, yeah.
Let me see what I have that. Giant. Oh wow, yeah. Maybe I don't
Terraria.
have it.
Variety.
Terraria, yeah. I got some. If you've never played
Why was
it,
there a bag? Why was there baggies and kook in the dead drop?
because Katsu.
What?
What the fuck?
I didn't do it.
She did it all.
Yeah, she did it all.
No, go pee on your thing. Go pee on it.
You go pee.
That one's
on it.
missing.
Go Hawk 2.
Go pee on it.
That one's missing.
Hey. Where's it? Here you go. Try this. I'm putting it on the shelf. Try this new strain. Tell me what you think.
Oh no.
Oh, is the
This
teehee?
new string.
Yeah.
Try this new string.
The tee strain, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It better make me high. Like the fucking moon.
His
Up! Oh my god.
up.
Bro. Misty.
You look
Get it
high.
coming.
Oh, your boyfriend. Oh, was that strong, huh?
His eyes are
Don't pee in the corner.
Your
Pee
eyes
in
are
the
extra
corner.
red.
Why
Go.
Are you looking at me?
I thought you have it.
No.
I don't know who
What
has
are
it.
you Has what?
Pee in the corner.
I have it, but I'm waiting for y'all to sleep. Y'all are beating each other up.
Oh,
Oh,
we don't need to sleep. What do you
it's
mean?
4 a.m. The fuck if we don't? Otherwise, it doesn't. We don't move to the next day.
No, we totally don't.
We don't need to.
There you go. All right, go pee on it.
What?
What do you mean? You're good.
To buy a skateboard or not?
So are we moving stuff to the warehouse or nah?
No, the warehouse isn't a place for us to. One gooey at the next place.
You're gonna end up breaking that door. Yeah.
I think we just have to. We need to have
Poor door.
customers, and we need. Hold on. We have all of the stuff on the market, right? Because I feel like we should be.
Yeah,
getting a
we have
lot more
everything.
people. I'm gonna go get us some customers.
What? What did I do? No, I ended up getting beaten up. Just by
Oh.
standing there.
Okay.
Okay.
Wild.
Next to Bud's Bar. Come here, buddy.
190? What the fuck, guys?
What?
What?
My hospital bill was 190. I blame you.
Mine was $0.
That sounds that good.
That's probably because you had nothing on you.
I had a watering can and clippers.
Well, that's not
That was-
money.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not.
it is.
Nah.
Yeah, Turbo lost it when me and him were doing this.
Of course.
He only had
Maybe-
a watering can
Come
and
here,
clippers. And he had to
Jerry.
pay for the hospital visit and lost it.
Wow. Little gremlins.
Uh-oh. Hi, Walker.
That's Jerry.
Nice.
Wacky.
How lucky.
Look at the Yoda.
It's Jerry. Come here, buddy.
It's just a Noro. Oh, Nor.
Oh, no.
Jerry's taking a little nap.
Forever. Oh, there we go. Doodle fed. Okay, so now we're making the map.
Alright.
Alright, so where is Oscar?
He's the guy that's in the warehouse. You can only wait till it's only at night that you can get stuff.
Okay.
There we go, much better.
Yeah, only after 6 p.m.
Making sure you get some money.
Buck, 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 buck.
Oh, why'd you do that? I forgot my can.
I can't see Peter, so someone else has to do the deal who can.
Alright.
Hey, Peter. Peter.
Peter
Hey,
file.
What the fuck is the Clippers? You guys keep running off with them.
You don't need them.
Sorry. It's my bad.
You're fine.
Buckle tickler.
It's just habit.
You
I
have
just
us
keep-
too.
I just keep stuff on me.
All good, all good. It's a highlighter thing.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry, I'm a hoarder.
You're a hoarder? That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Can somebody talk? Wait, no, that's
What? Who's talking?
You are.
It was Drake.
Could somebody talk to Kim and get a
Aw, someone CP.
Oh,
I
that's
can't-
cute.
I can't try to give her drugs.
Alright.
What did you do?
She's in the piss hut.
Huh?
Trying to make money so we can buy on.
Yeah, said Piss
I
Hut?
can't talk to Joyce either. What the fuck?
How much do we need though?
A lot, probably.
You already got sold something.
Could also go around selling the other stuff that we already have too.
Mhm.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, he's trying to make a deal to people on the street because you can do that with setting up meetings.
Yeah.
I can get Geraldine.
Okay, I'll get Sam.
Just gotta,
There you go.
I'm
Kim,
getting
I got
investigated.
Kim. I don't have anything, but if you knock on the door, she'll come out.
Is there anything we need specifically made?
Ow.
Well, no, like I can't talk to her even after knocking. I don't get a prompt.
Oh, okay. What did you want me to give her?
Anything, like just anything.
Okay, gotcha.
So we can get her as a customer.
Okay.
Just give her the goods.
Give her the goods.
Oh, I will.
Hey yo.
Wink, wink.
Because I'm gonna do
The warehouse, so we can get the meth set.
I need more baggies.
Have enough. If you use the phone, you can have them
Oh,
delivered.
never
Later.
Huh?
You
You
can
only
have.
get 2.
Two what?
I'll only give you 2.
Give me 2 what? Baggies?
Yeah.
Yeah, the rest.
Hey, let's go.
There you go. And then you said you wanted me to Jerry, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm getting this deal for Peggy.
Okay.
Oh, I'm already.
I'm already here.
Um,
Delicious.
I'll go get baggies.
I got 20 baggies I can drop off.
Where did it go?
No! I hit E to talk to her, but she didn't give me a prompt. Oh, hi, police officer. I ran into him.
I love
He
how the
didn't
cops
care.
were literally walking down the road.
I'm gonna get some
I
baggies.
was like, oh, hello.
I ran into him with some drugs and he just didn't care. He was like, oh, okay.
It's when you start selling that they're like, hey, knock that off.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
I
when you're
was
throwing
holding
away the garbage, like Katsu
I
did.
was holding drugs in front of him and ran into him and he didn't care.
Yeah, they don't care as long as you're not selling it.
Okay, well then I'm gonna
get in
bag
here
these up
yet?
then.
Open after 6 p.m.
Yeah, that.
I have a feeling I'm gonna only have enough for the chemistry station.
Jerry. Oh, Jay, you knocked the fuck out. Never mind.
Probably a bad idea to give me this thing.
Charles.
Go down in the hole! Why are you not going in the hole?
There you go. Got us another one.
Oh my god. It's a bad idea.
Behind the supermarket.
Beep bop bibbidi bop bop.
Okay, there we go. Now it closes. Wow! Derp and derp.
Derp derp.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's some more. Are you putting more in there?
Huh? I'm packing stuff.
Yes.
Oh, sure, packing.
Look at this.
Okay.
And then there's another potential dealer at the end of the block.
Yeah, and you need $1,000 to get her.
Jeez. Well, I mean, we have 2,500.
True.
He's trying to save that so we can get the other place. Yeah, Jerry's knocked out. Hello, Jerry. Jerry, wake up.
Jay.
Jerry, wake
Jara.
up. Jerry,
Jara.
Jerry,
Yo, Jerry.
Jara. Jara. I'll be
Jerry.
right back.
You hit that sticky icky too hard. Come on.
You hit that motherfucker way too hard, bro.
That or Katsu
I'll go
knocked
do
him
that
out
deal.
again.
He on the floor.
You said you got that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Jerry is knocked out. Or she taking a dirt nap.
Yeah, he doesn't have the stars around his head, so he ain't getting back up until we go to bed. I think that's how that works. Right now, you can. Yeah. I'm having either Pizza Hut or a Wawa's. Let's see. Okay. You want to cook them at the hotel, Holiday Inn?
I'm already ahead of
Sure.
that.
Okay.
Oof.
Terraria.
I can get both of these.
Okay.
I'm on my way out.
Should get more. Well, when you get tins, we should get more jars so that way we can. Uh, give Benny the jars. Make more monies. Or are you gonna give Benny the crack?
Do we still have the other bagging station?
Yeah, I have the I'll bring it over to
Can you
you.
bring it to the? Can you bring it to the motel?
Yeah, I'm using my Quake skills to beeline it over there. Oh. There you go. Do you need me to go get you some baggies?
Eventually, yeah.
I think we've got a few.
I don't know if Jesse's late or if they're not just here for me.
Jesse is knocked the fuck out.
Then why'd they text me? Why'd they do the deal? If they're knocked out.
Jesse is there.
Oh, okay.
Then you do, Jesse.
I don't have 6. I have 3.
I have 6. Yeah.
I'm going to
Hold
the.
on. Put it in the dead drop. Put it in the dead drop. Yum. Also, is Katsu alive or is Katsu just quiet?
No, she said be right back.
Yeah.
Oh. Alright, now we rob the product back. Never mind, did not work.
I'll get you since the gas station's open. I'm getting you some baggies.
Can you get me a grabber, the trash grabber, for
Yeah.
favor?
Gotcha.
Okay, there's that. Bro, I charged him $30 more than what he was asking, and he accepted it. That's crazy.
He needs his crack, or his weed.
His weed.
Weed.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yippee.
I thought I bought it.
Yeah. Someone's really tired.
It's been a long day, okay?
Uh-huh. I'm waiting until my under arrest goes away.
What the? Hold on. Oh, I thought there was somebody standing by the ATM. That tripped me out. The one thing that's funny is the fact that there is a bobblehead of Nixon in the motel room.
Don't worry about that.
Could you open the door?
Oh, you want it to be
Can
something
you open the
else?
door? Can you open the door and let me in?
Oh my god. Bugger! Theo! Where do you go? Where do you go?
He went away.
It was so close.
I don't know if that was the right person. I just punched someone outside. Oh, shit! It was a cop. It's a cop. It's a cop.
You have a problem, ma'am.
I put the
I see, yeah. I already used it.
what the fuck? I thought I bought baggies. God, wait, did I? No, I didn't. Run, Katsu, run!
I'm in the water. I can't see shit.
God damn it,
Oh my god, they're all trying to do it now. Can I just yeet myself off of here, please?
My meth is done.
Come on.
Boom. Alright, cool. I'll head
can't
back
see
over to
shit
the
when I'm
thing
out
and
here.
I'll deposit the baggies for you. Go.
Alright, we're good.
Watching Katsu flip out about the police after her. Hilarious.
Oh my god, there's a dead person! There's a trash can. I need the nearest trash can right now.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, he disappeared.
There you go.
Oh my god.
Maybe.
Don't worry about it. I didn't do it though.
Yeah.
Alright, it's 4 a.m., so we gotta.
Snooze.
I didn't kill an officer. It was all hollow.
It was me, and I'll do it again. And then I'll blame it on Katsu.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So, yeah.
At one time at band camp,
We're not bringing up Bandcamp again.
Why not? Were you in band camp?
No.
But that one time in band camp, somebody put a tuba.
Up someone's ass?
Probably.
I mean, if they want it, they want it.
Band geeks are kind of freaky deaky. And
Hey, look now.
they
Me.
I went to Snee. Wait, no, I went to Zuzu. Yeah, no. Whatever. He honk Snee. Whatever.
Are we sleeping?
Yeah. It's 4 a.m. Can't progress.
Waiting for other players to sleep.
Well, gotta go to the warehouse. Oh, cause we just unlocked the mixing station Mach 2, which is the automated mixing station.
It's $2,000. And it has to be paid in cash.
Jesus. Well,
All this stuff over the warehouse.
we don't have the new place yet. I blame Highlighter
Alright.
Okay.
because we don't have enough cash. You're not having a surplus of weed.
We have a surplus of weed. No one's selling it.
Because nobody's buying it.
Then go around.
No.
Yeah, go around and sell it.
No.
Highest bidder.
Is bitter.
I just better, make money out here.
I was gonna say you could give some of the weed that you have to Benji. He does not have anything. The thing is, I can't talk to Benji. And he's sitting on $700.
I got him.
God, it's green. Oh, never mind. I found some. Okay. She just took almost everything.
So everything.
You said he can have it, so
I was just like, but
I wasn't the one to say anything. So.
listen, the guy needs it too.
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
you know what? No,
Yeah.
never mind.
Yeah?
Never mind.
Mean if you say it. Imagine.
Remembered.
I say, well, for Benji, we just pack stuff in jars and then give that to him, so then he can sell that. However, he sells it.
Whatever he's.
Probably need more baggies. Found crack at the construction site. It tracks.
Some
I mean-
crack at the construction.
Got to get that bump, bump, bump.
I know.
Joyce is not here for me unless she's late.
No, she's probably not there for you because she's
Hello, officer.
officer. I wasn't doing anything. I swear.
Hold on, unless Joyce is just randomly in here. She's just randomly in here.
I'd be like that.
She does that a lot.
Okay, she's not.
Wow, Ludwig, you don't want shit right now? That's crazy.
It is crazy.
Oh my.
Did you drop stuff off the Benji, Katsu?
Yeah, he has some stuff.
Okay, good.
Why don't you want my shit? I didn't even offer you. I just asked.
Wow.
Oh, you're already high as fuck. Okay. We can't do that. Double
Yeah,
high?
hide the moon.
Let's just call getting fucked and back.
That's wild.
Oh, damn.
Cause you double dipping.
Double dipping.
Double dipping these nuts.
Double dipping.
Ah.
I mean, you may never know. They probably want extra for later.
X.
Alright, pawn shop. Can I give you some? Here, take this. Yeah, smoke that up.
Yeah, bitch.
Oh boy.
Smoke it. Yeah.
Alright, we got Mike. Oh my god, everywhere I pass, everyone's high.
Smoking our
Oh, you're
product.
not high.
Okay, huh?
Alright, Pug. I sold all my shit. More. More. It's a lot of baggies. Oh, we're almost out of stuff.
What are we out of?
Almost everything.
Okay.
Me, who took everything else.
Hey, I'm gonna try. Yeah, yeah. That's a good combination idea. Laxative and energy drink. Call them the runs.
Oh,
That's
my God.
crazy.
I don't have crack. Okay, you do.
What do you want, Jennifer? Why you running? Why you running? Huh? Huh, Jennifer?
Ludwig, you're a piece of work. You look like you're a narc.
First, are you about to spend? God damn, man, damn.
Ma'am! Please. This is a Chili's. Where is
Angie,
my...
give her shit. How much do you have?
Why
You still
knock
have a
it
lot
out
more.
like that?
Don't tell him. Alright. Kudos. Yeah, here, take 2 of this. Boom, we have money. See? I don't know how, but we are.
I've been doing deals because they've been
Oh,
coming
you
in.
sneaky, sneaky sly dog, you.
No.
He's doing them deals.
Back alley deals.
I've just had the drugs, and I'm like, yeah, I could do this deal.
He meets people in the back alley, goes...
What the?
What the
I'm under arrest? Where? Oh, right there.
Alright, so I will go for the
I can't
bean.
jump!
You can't do that.
Let's do...
I didn't know there was a cop over there.
And...
Turn around and beat him.
And... Beat him up. Fisticuffs. Painkiller. Potassium. What can we do? We can do... That. Ooh, yeah.
Bruh! I'm under arrest again!
Well, you have to keep running until it goes away.
I know, but I tried giving Geraldine this freaking weed, and cops
Yeah,
found out.
that's the problem.
Holler's on his way to beat him up.
So I gently
Basketball
punched
court.
him.
All right.
Because I have 2 deals, man. Okay, is there a cop over by the basketball court anymore? There is.
Oh.
By Hollow.
Attempted picture. Oh.
Oh, I finally got him.
Yeah, because I distracted them for you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Drop.
I'll come over here with the great equalizer. My bat. Bop.
They almost caught me again. Ugh. Hello, cop. You're dumb.
Did you order any more SIDS?
I ordered more stuff.
Okay. I'm gonna use the Granddaddy Purple to mix some stuff. Let me see before I do that. Actually, I'll just use the OG Kush. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter what.
Well, I'm mixing to make some new Frankenweeds.
Go wow.
Frankenweed.
Hi.
Hello.
Since I've got 3,
Welcome
so I'll
back.
just do 5. Three, four, 5.
Can anybody
Okay.
pay our debt to Albert off?
No, not yet. 'Cause we just got our drop.
So then, yes, but we need to just. Yeah,
Where's the box?
yeah, yeah.
Where's his drop box?
It'll
Over by the warehouse, on the back of it. I mean, the
Uh,
shop behind the shop.
it'll tell you where the
The normal one.
Albert's is. It's across the street from us.
His his is by the hardware store.
Yeah, that place.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, it's behind it.
So 300. Okay.
Alright, and then we gotta.
Oh, that's a cop.
This. Alright. Yes.
Oh, I think now we can do. Yeah, now you can do in-person meetings.
Yes. Yes. Hell yeah.
Dream Smegma, huh? What's it being called this time?
What am I renaming? Let's see. Actually, I'm gonna mix it some more. Yeah, we're just gonna call it. Take it out. And lace it with of those. Product. That. Again. It's gonna be so good.
How'd you see me, man? Oh, hi. I accidentally
Let's
ran into
see.
one.
Let's see, how addictive is it?
Oh, Kim is glitched for me, man.
Katsu, want to see something funny?
What?
Watch this, watch this. Turn off the lights.
Or-
He's glow in the dark. He's throwing up too. Oh no. Who needs a glow stick when you have hollow?
That's crazy.
Alright.
Oh man, I just got here too.
What's this? This.
Dang, Jesse is not working for me. Mick, what the heck? Hey Katsu, can you do Jesse's for me real quick? Poor favor.
What you need?
Oh, I don't even have enough sour diesel. Can't even do it
Uh,
anyway.
Oh, rip. It happens.
Oh well.
Let me water the plant for you. Wow. Okay, down tomorrow. I'm gonna go back. Like that.
Cops are outside of the door, by
Yeah, I know.
the way. One sticking. Oh my god, you can't smoke it like that all the time. Gonna go nuts.
Katsu, you should. Here, I'll put one there for you. You smoke it so I can see what it looks like.
What? Smoke what?
The
This?
yeah, the Incredible Hulk.
Purple Hawk?
Cause gamma radiation.
Oh god. Whoa, what
I'm
the?
sorry. Did you name that
What
motherfucker
the?
Gamer?
Oh my god.
Yeah, he did.
Oh no. Hello,
Gamer
Hylet.
Yes.
Hello, Hylator.
Wow.
Was it too strong for you?
All the above.
Mm.
She's a radiated ghoul.
Radiated ghoul. Let's take this shit out. Yeet. I literally act like I'm running from like a demon outside or some shit, you know? When you were walking upstairs.
Oh yeah, cause it's
Yeah.
cause the drug makes you athletic.
Oh, Katsu, can you see if for Jesse, just give her 3 sour diesels and these 6 purples on the shelf over here at the end.
That's a nice
Bark by
glow
lore.
stick we got there.
Just take both the sour diesel and the purple and just give like 1 to 2 purples to Jesse because they're glitched out for me.
Yes, yeah. What the fuck are you doing there?
I just came to see what you guys are up to.
She's on the other side.
I've just been making meth.
Jesse? 6 diesel.
Nobody wants to
Yeah,
buy my
just
meth.
give her the diesel and then just give her like 1 to 2 purples, and then
There you
it
go.
should be fine.
The deal's off. Oh, she pissed.
Well,
Where's Jesse? Let me beat her ass.
She didn't. She didn't like the offer. It fell off in the water.
Way to go.
What'd you do to her?
I didn't do shit. I gave her the stuff, and then she did. She just like, no.
Where are you?
I'm coming back. I'm coming back.
Oh, I was coming to rob Jesse.
Too bad. We're back. I'm blind as fuck outside. I swear.
Fine, let's go back to my meth house.
Can't see shit.
Mm.
Alright, back to waiting.
well, it's 4 a.m.
All right, come on. Waiting on somebody else to go to bed.
Probably
Uh,
goat.
yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Shut it.
Wow.
This poor plant has been watered in a while.
What? There.
84.
Eee!
Okay.
That's grass.
I'm going to do this. All right.